Adeline Riley is missing. The darkness has swallowed her whole. And the man who swore to protect her? He's coming for blood. This is a story of twisted love, relentless obsession, and the battle between predator and prey. Welcome to the nightmare that is hunting Adeline, the second book in the Cat and Mouse Duet by H.D. Carlton. Adeline thought she knew fear. She thought she had experienced darkness, but nothing could prepare her for the abyss she was about to be thrown into. After being kidnapped by the menacing, sadistic ring of human traffickers, she finds herself trapped in a world where escape seems impossible. Her body is bruised, her mind is unraveling, and the only thing keeping her sane is the flickering hope that someone, one man in particular, will come for her. Enter Zaid Meadows, a man who operates in the shadows, a vigilante with no limits, and a monster in his own right. But Adeline was his. And if there's one thing Zaid does best, it's hunting. The walls whisper horrors. The screams of other captives echo through the facility. Every day the men who took her test her limits, trying to break her, to make her submit. But Adeline is strong. She refuses to give them the satisfaction of her surrender. Still, there's a part of her that wonders, how much more can I take? Her captors call her special, a rare find. They think she will fetch the highest price in their twisted auction. But Adeline doesn't care about their plans. She only cares about surviving long enough for Zaid to find her. Zaid is losing his mind. He failed to protect her, and now the only thing that matters is getting her back. He tears through underground networks, spilling blood without remorse. Every lead brings him closer, but every second without her is agony. His reputation precedes him. The men who took her know he's coming. They think they're ready. They aren't. Adeline's nightmare worsens. She's dragged from her cell, forced into a lavish room where a masked man watches her with hunger. This is the beginning of the end, or so they want her to believe. But Adeline isn't just prey. She is fire, she is rage, and she will not go quietly. The air is thick with tension. Every second that passes is a second too long. Adeline remains trapped in the grasp of monsters, but Zaid is closing in. He is no longer a man. He is a weapon, forged in vengeance and sharpened by rage. Adeline is losing track of time. Days blur into nights, and reality feels like a distant dream. She is held captive in a place where power is measured in pain, and obedience is the currency of survival. But Adeline refuses to break. The masked man who watches her speaks in riddles, his words laced with poison. He tells her she belongs to them now, that she will be sold to the highest bidder. But Adeline has fire in her veins. She will not kneel. She memorizes the patterns of the guards, the creak of the doors, the sounds of the compound. Every detail is a potential escape route. She is planning, waiting for the right moment. Meanwhile, Zaid tears through the underworld. Every whisper of information, every hidden trail, he follows them relentlessly. The men he questions do not live long enough to betray him. The name Zaid Meadows is spoken in hushed tones, a warning to those who stand in his way. He is coming. Inside the compound, Adeline is forced to fight, a test. The captors want to see how much defiance she holds. She is thrown into a ring surrounded by other captives, forced to prove her worth by hurting another. But Adeline refuses. She takes the beating instead, her body broken, but her will unshaken. Zaid gets closer. He uncovers the twisted network that stole Adeline away, and with each new lead, his wrath grows darker, his methods more brutal. He will bring hell upon them. And then the auction is announced. The moment Adeline feared the most is upon her. A gathering of the wicked, where she will be sold like an object. Her time is running out, but so is theirs, because Zaid Meadows is coming. The auction looms, a night of decadence and depravity where lives are sold to the highest bidder. Adeline is paraded before unseen eyes, her fate hanging in the balance. But she isn't broken. Not yet. Beneath the fear, there is steel, and she clings to one truth. Zaid is coming. Zaid moves through the shadows, his mind a storm of rage and precision. He has traced the network to its core, and now nothing will stop him. He sees the auction hall from a distance, his heartbeat a steady drum of violence. They took Adeline, and now they will pay. Inside, Adeline is forced into a silk gown, her bruises hidden beneath makeup, her terror masked by defiance. The other captives whisper of escape, of death, of surrender. But Adeline refuses to succumb. She watches, waits, listens. There is always a way out. The auction begins. Voices rise, numbers climb, men place their bids. The masked man watches from his throne of sin, a smirk playing on his lips. He thinks he has won. But then the lights flicker. A shadow moves, and then all hell breaks loose. A scream cuts through the room. A body drops. Gunfire erupts, sending the audience into a frenzy. The security scrambles, but it's already too late. Zaid is here. He moves like a phantom, striking with deadly precision. He is the monster they should have feared. He carves through them without hesitation, his focus locked on one thing: Adeline. Adeline seizes the moment. Chaos is her ally. She elbows her handler, snatching a weapon from his grasp. The captives around her break into action, their desperation fueling them. The room becomes a battlefield. She fights her way to the exit, her breath ragged, her pulse pounding. And then she sees him, Zaid, covered in blood, eyes burning with fury and relief. For the first time in weeks, she feels safe. But the masked man is not finished. He emerges from the smoke, gun in hand, a cruel smile stretching across his face. This isn't over. Zaid steps in front of Adeline, his voice low and lethal. You're right. It's not over. But for you, it ends now. The gunshot echoes through the ruined auction hall, a single moment of silence before chaos erupts once more. The masked man stumbles back, his hand clutching his shoulder, his arrogant smirk wiped away by pain. But he is not dead. Not yet. Zaid doesn't hesitate. He lunges forward, his blade flashing in the dim light. The masked man barely dodges, twisting away, his breath ragged. Around them, the battle rages, traffickers falling one by one, captives fighting for their lives, the air thick with smoke and screams. Adeline grips her stolen weapon, her hands trembling but her mind sharp. She knows she cannot stay frozen. She has come too far to stop now. She raises the gun, her sights locked onto the man who stole her freedom, who sought to destroy her. He turns to run, but Zaid is faster. He tackles him to the ground, pinning him beneath an unforgiving grip. No more running, Zaid growls, his voice edged with fury. He raises his blade again, but the masked man laughs, a chilling, broken sound. You think this ends with me? He sneers. You think you've won? Adeline steps forward, her breath shallow but steady. You'll never hurt anyone again. The masked man's gaze locks onto hers, something dark and unreadable in his expression. Then he moves, too fast. A hidden knife gleams in his grasp, a desperate final strike aimed straight for Zaid's heart. This time, it's Adeline who pulls the trigger. The masked man jerks, his weapon clattering to the ground, his body slumping as the life drains from his eyes. The threat is over, and yet, the weight of what just happened lingers between them. Zaid turns to her, something unreadable in his gaze. Adeline's hands are shaking, the gun slipping from her grip. The reality of the moment crashes over her, but before she can crumble, Zaid is there, pulling her into his arms. You did what you had to, he whispers. It's over. But Adeline isn't sure if it will ever truly be over. The aftermath is a blur of sirens, fire, and blood. The authorities arrive too late, sweeping through the wreckage of the underground empire that has finally fallen. Survivors are taken to safety. the bodies of those who tormented them left behind in ruin. Zaid and Adeline disappear into the night, ghosts slipping through the chaos, bound together by something neither of them fully understands. They have survived. But survival is only the beginning. The battle is over, but the war inside Adeline has only just begun. The bodies have been left behind, the nightmare of captivity reduced to ashes. But as Zaid and Adeline vanish into the night, the weight of everything she endured begins to settle in. The bruises on her skin will heal. The ones inside her, she isn't sure they ever will. They take refuge in a secluded safe house, hidden from the remnants of the trafficking network that still lingers in the shadows. Zaid, ever watchful, refuses to leave her side. He treats her wounds, whispers reassurances she barely hears. But there's one thing even he cannot protect her from: her own mind. Sleep is impossible. When Adeline closes her eyes, she is back in that room. She hears the laughter of men who saw her as nothing more than a prize. She feels the chains around her wrists, the helplessness, the terror. She wakes up gasping for air, her body drenched in sweat, only to find Zaid sitting beside her, his gaze unreadable. She wants to be strong. She is strong. But the ghosts of her past do not let go so easily. Zaid watches her with a quiet intensity. He knows the battle inside her is far from over. He's seen what trauma does, how it festers, how it consumes. And yet, Adeline is different. She is fire, even in her brokenness. But even fire can burn itself out. Days pass, but Adeline feels like she is standing still. The world outside moves forward, but she remains trapped in a loop of memories she cannot escape. Zaid offers her safety, but safety is not the same as peace. She wonders if she will ever feel normal again. Then a letter arrives. No name, no return address, just a single sentence written in neat, precise handwriting. We are still watching. Adeline's blood turns to ice. The nightmare isn't over. The men who took her may be dead, but the ones who allowed it to happen, the ones who profited from it, they are still out there. She realizes then that she has two choices: live in fear or fight. And Adeline has never been one to run. She looks at Zaid, her voice steady despite the tremble in her hands. I want to end this, all of it. A slow, dark smile spreads across his lips. Then let's finish what we started. Adeline is no longer just the hunted. She is becoming the hunter. The game isn't over. It's only just begun. Thank you for watching.